Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in where we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate The Last Jedi 1 minute at a time. 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from petetheretailer.fun.
You don't have to do
Not going to do that.
No.
I'm Mike Norton from IHateMike.com.
Welcome back, Mike Norton. And welcome back to you, listeners, to minute 143 of The Last Jedi. Minute 143 starts off with General Leia sitting down with Rey, and ends a minute later with Broom Boy running from Bargwill Tomder.
What? That's his name?
That's that character's name, Bargwill Tomder.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we start? Let's start with the heart to heart, I guess.
Yeah, so let us start with the heart to heart.
Let us.
Because when they met,
with the
it
heart.
was Moida.
Moida. That's my boss.
There's a show that'll be forgotten.
Yeah. That's not on. And isn't there? I got to check like Pluto for like there
I'm
there
sure
have to be
it's
these
on
channels
there,
that play.
Yeah.
You know, at least,
TV's got to do it. Like
at least a bunch of them together, right? Like there's like you know, late 70s,
Remington-
early 80s detective shows.
Remington
Saturday
Steel,
at 2:30.
Hunter,
Yeah.
Hunter.
Spencer for Hire.
Airwolf.
Airwolf's not really a detective show. It's a helicopter show. Come on.
What was the other one I was confused with Airwolf?
Street Hawk?
Street Hawk.
Is he a detective?
He's
They're
like
all detectives.
He's almost like a superhero.
It's all procedural.
I think if Pluto, if you're listening, make a channel. It's just Airwolf, Street Hawk, Automan, like all of these like vaguely supernatural with a vehicle kind of shows.
All right.
There's no boat version. You could throw Knight Rider, definitely throw that on there. Riptide, yeah.
Riptide. That's the one I was confused with Airwolf.
That had a boat.
Had a boat and a helicopter and robots. That was an awesome show.
Yeah.
And Han Solo.
So it starts off with Rhea having their conversation about Luke. They both felt Luke die. I feel like Rey didn't really know Luke well enough to be able to that seems kind of forward of her, familiar, if you will.
I don't know. She had more of a relationship than she has with a lot of the people in these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Finn she knows better, and she loves Finn. So,
how many nights do you think she was on Occ 2?
A good solid 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I don't know. A week.
They did do some training, so
yeah. And
as long as Luke was on Dagobah.
Yeah, that's the other compare and contrast Luke's Luke's mood after the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Where it's like, that guy that I met this morning is dead. I'm sad.
Leia doesn't seem upset, especially at either of her two old friends dying in these movies. I mean, she handles it very well, a little too well.
I really do think that we're missing out on a lot of. She lived a lot of life on independent of these adventures. She's still involved, obviously, the whole time with galactic politics, but like this space opera stuff was not her bag for the last 30 years, and then she's getting drawn back into shooting and dying and all that stuff. Great.
She had to sit down when Han died, but this was her brother.
Do we see? People generally don't cry about. I mean, her whole planet got blown up, including her father and family in Alderaan, and she.
I don't remember seeing anybody cry in Star Wars until Rey.
Well, I was gonna say Anakin. I feel like Anakin is the most. The most.
Let me bring up Malakili, the Rancor Keeper.
Fair enough. True.
That's right. He had to be consoled.
Yeah. It's the most emotionally real moment in that movie.
Yeah, he's Malakili's the only one who's allowed to escape the chains of toxic masculinity and body image. He's walking around with his shirt off. He doesn't have a care in the world.
He's a role model, really, for all of us.
Yeah. Poor Malakili.
Right, well, so Leia says that, Rey says to Leia that she felt Luke, Luke is gone. And, but it wasn't sadness, it was peace and purpose. My note is Peace and Purpose, of course, is best known for their recording of You Belong to Me.
Peace and Purpose.
Peace and Purpose. But then we get more awkward conversation moments, which is what I was so appreciating in the last minute. We get a couple of them this minute too. We get, what the heck is Finn talking to Nine Nunn about? What do you think there, as far as maybe he's picked up some English in the last, 30 years, but, are they talking about, what, like, they weren't really, they've probably crossed paths already because they were in that briefing where they talked about how to blow up Starkiller Base. But do you think it's an awkward, like Nine Nunn being like, so you were a stormtrooper, huh? What was that like? Like,
here's what happened. It was originally Poe and Finn were having their reunion, and then Nine Nunn came over to say hello to Poe. And then Poe was like, "Oh, there's Kai," and then Poe ran away and left Finn and Nine Nunn there, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, now we don't want to just go like, okay, we have no reason to talk to each other or walk away," and then they're just stuck there, even though
Nine Nunn might know where all the secret snack spots are on the Millennium Falcon.
I think he was asking. I think he was asking Nine Nunn if he would be willing to fly him to another planet, and so he could finally get away from the Resistance after all this time.
He's still on that. Yeah, he's still on that.
Well, he's over Rey, so
he's playing the long game.
You want to jump ship later or what?
He's asking everybody that.
It should have ended with him putting on his backpack and slinking away with the escape pod.
So you used to fly this ship, right? Yeah. How many escape pods do you got? Are they here? Maybe like a tour. You want to give me a tour? You can show me like where the bathroom is, where the escape pods are.
Rose is the only one who knew that what he was doing, and luckily she's comatose, so he can.
So now is his chance. It's like, well,
so wait, has the Falcon not had an escape pod since they ejected it during the Han Solo movie?
Well, it must. Rey used one earlier in the film, so.
It's got different like individual escape coffins kind of, but not like that was like a more luxurious escape craft thing that fit into that modular fork slot. But
so there's no escaping the Falcon this time.
Yeah.
There'll be no escape for the Falcon this time. And then we get Chewie is awkwardly hugging C-3PO while Chewie is it seems like he's maybe telling a story to Cato Kokonix or something. Like he's like doing something and then gives C-3PO an awkward hug from behind, which now in retrospect, having watched the last minute, I'm thinking, is Cato Kokonix like, oh my God, you should have seen Fred just totally went to give me a hug. And I was like, oh, yeah. And Chewie's like, oh, you should have totally like reached up and grabbed you. Like Chewie's totally like acting out how he thought it went when Fred tried to give Cato Kokonix a hug.
Oh, do you think Fred was watching from far away and knew they were talking about it because you could see Chewie hugging 3PO and them all cracking up?
And he was like
looking. Absolutely looking
oh
back
my gosh, this guy's like the Charlie Brown of the Resistance.
He's gonna wander over to Finn and Nine Nunn and be like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?"
Oh yeah, the sink where all the drips wind up together. The bottom of the conversations.
Yeah.
We also saw the broken lightsaber. We saw the I don't know whose lightsaber it's considered at this point, but it's broken. And
probably a lot fewer people want it now that it's broken.
You think so? Put it on Craigslist. I bet there's some Jedi collectors out there who.
Oh, totally.
Do you think collecting Jedi stuff is like collecting Nazi memorabilia in our life? Like it's like you don't really want to go public about it, but dude, you should check it out. He's got all these Jedi lightsabers in his personal collection, and he holds them out on his cape.
In this, because it's under, well, I don't know. I think it's like I think later than, I think the collecting Imperial stuff would be like that. It almost feels like that. The people who, that's why I'm always afraid to get cool Imperial stuff, even though I like the design of it, because I'm like, well, I'm not. Obviously, I don't think they should win. I just like the way they look. They're fictional characters, but in real life, obviously, no. That's not.
Yeah,
maybe you could put a patch on it,
like Templar stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, this seems pretty extreme, but okay.
Yeah, check out my Priory of Sion collection over here.
So hopefully she'll be able to get that lightsaber fixed just in time for the next film.
Well, just I think she should sign up for a leather working class. That'll fix it up.
So we also see a Porg sitting on top of R2-D2.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because when R2 turns his head, the Porg is also
it's got to
he turn
a little bit,
turns his head. But it makes me wonder. We don't see the Porgs on the Falcon in the next movie. So what do you think happened to her? Also, Mike, are you pro Porg, anti Porg?
I love all cute space aliens. Mm-hmm. However,
I guess being a pug aficionado, they do basically have pug faces.
Yes, they are pug birds. And but I also really related to how hungry Chewie was. And he had to do what he had to do.
Right.
So that's what I'm guessing happened in between this and
could be.
He ate them all?
Yeah.
Chewie
is the great destroyer.
There's not to jump too far ahead, but there's a scene later on in this movie where somebody's telling a legend about stuff that just happened, and it would be funny to see the similar kind of shot, but it's with the Porgs. Where's a Porg telling his other Porg friends about and there was a big hairy beast came, and he took and he cooked Delmar, and he put him over the. He roasted him in flames.
It could be like the Ewoks when Chewbacca goes to Ahch-To, they're all like, they all know him.
But it's like it's almost like Kali, like the destroyer. Yeah. They're all like, what have we done to bring misfortune on our village?
The I Am Legend of Porgs.
I was thinking either the Porgs, they either just died from not being in their habitat, like. If you brought a penguin onto an airline, or a penguin probably wouldn't live very long on the plane,
right?
Or wherever the Falcon went next. Hopefully to a hospital for Rose, but that the Porgs then became an invasive species in that world. They were the Tribbles, if you will, to continue the Star Trek.
I mean, that's the way they were going, right? I mean, they were coming out of every orifice on the Falcon.
I think that's the conversation that the Porg and C-3PO and R2-D2 are having. It's like, so you showing up for the next one of these? Like, I don't know, maybe a little bit. I'll probably bag it.
That's where R2 is most of the time now. He's just a nest for Porgs.
Oh yeah.
All of those compartments.
They're all inside him.
He's lousy with Porgs.
I think the Rise of Skywalker should have just had R2 rolling around, and then he stops and starts shaking. All of a sudden he cracks open and like 70 Porgs come crawling out of him.
Flying out. Or that's like a feature. So it's not like he cracks. It's like remember the R5-D4 action figure that they felt like had to be action packed. So you had a rocket launcher inside, his whole body split open, and he shot a missile.
I don't remember anything about that. Wow.
That was in the wave of 90s when they started bringing back Star Wars figures.
I have no memory of.
They were all like they thought kids were going to be playing with these things, so they made them all like He-Man toys, and they all had to have like play features that no nerd ever, Right. Does anyone ever use that like feature where a toy like swings its arm to like
my
punch
kids
something?
Do like crazy, but
do they do? Awesome.
Just depending on whatever, yeah.
It just looks like they're dancing instead of punching.
I mean, they don't use it to make them actually fight other things.
Yeah.
They just kind of use it to like, look what he can do, and then have it be like as they're waving it around, they squeeze. We've got a Jyn Erso or Rey like that, I think. Where it's like a Rey, and then you squeeze. She's supposed to be holding her stick, and you squeeze her legs together and make her torso spin.
So if you held her up with like a Kylo Ren, you could
maybe make them kiss.
Yeah,
we'll get there in 2 years.
Kiss, yeah.
You paint their faces black and white.
Are there Porg Jedi?
No. They don't have hands. How can they hold a lightsaber?
So are you saying like a blob couldn't be a Jedi? Or is lightsaber wielding an essential feature of being a Jedi?
I mean, they have classes in it, so yeah, I guess so.
It could be like a Green Lantern thing where they make adaptations for special.
They just like a belt with a lightsaber.
Where he's got like a big, like it's almost like brass knuckles. He's got like a big like hand thing like they stick their flipper through and then
or just replace their hands with lightsabers.
And then they can't fly. They don't have hands. They have wings.
They use the Force to fly. They don't need wings anymore.
Oh.
All right. So question. So let's get to Broom Boy on back on Kendo Bite.
The very popular trio of Onai Hosea.
Of course they got names.
Arishel Sar and Tamiri Blag, the titular Boom Boy, who's not titular at all.
So this is what I was talking about a couple days ago when I was saying about the continuity of like time in Star Wthat because they're telling a story, I'm guessing, about Crate there, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
That I mean, theoretically, they're like flying above them right now.
Right.
So how do they know about that?
Well, maybe are they telling a different story?
Maybe. I mean, he's talking about Luke Skywalker. I'm assuming those are walkers. Maybe he's talking about Empire. Maybe he's talking about the Battle of Hoth.
It is weird that if Luke's idea was to become a legend, he kind of picked a really weird place to do it because it doesn't seem like there was a lot of there's only 6 rebels left. The First Order certainly isn't going to publicize Luke's brave stance. Right. So who, it seems like he should have went on TV or something and appeared somewhere where everyone could see him. Right. You know what I mean? As opposed to, although who knows, maybe the rebels were you filming it, doing a live stream or something, and so everyone saw this.
So you're saying there's somebody that everybody thought was dead and gone. If they wanted to come back, a good way for them to do that would just be to suddenly appear on communications frequencies.
Yeah.
Okay, just marking that down for 2 years from now.
I see where you're going with this.
I don't like the sound of this.
But yeah, and that would establish how Broom Boy knows about him.
Right.
So
the Star Wars universe of equivalent of TikTok is where he saw this.
I guess so. Yeah, all the kids watching it. And,
maybe they can watch the little videos on that ring. It's like a live streaming portal.
And Luke's face is like a unicorn, filter on it or something.
And he's flossing.
Yeah.
And this filter, everybody looks like Kylo Ren. No, that's Kylo Ren.
It's funny to think the last hope of the Resistance is competing with a guy drinking cranberry juice and someone doing a failed karate move and something,
doing the astral projection challenge.
Right. Yeah.
So many teens have died doing this.
Yes, so the kids.
Onai Hosea is played by Josiah Onaiha.
Oh, okay. So that's what they're doing.
Arishel Sar is played by Sarah Heller. And
Sarah.
Tamiri Blag is played by the already Star Wars-y sounding Tamerlan Blave.
So these are just anagrams. Their Star Wars names are just anagrams of their real names.
When you look through the Star Wars Visual Dictionary and look up the actors who played them, that is called Tuckerization.
Yeah.
After I guess one person who, it's not quite an anagram. Tuckerization would be it sounds kind of like it's scrambled, but not
right.
It's not a true anagram in many cases. It just
they're not exact anagrams. There's an extra S in here for that. So
they do sort of like that when they were making up names for G.I. Joe characters. I think they would.
Right. Yeah.
They would switch around names of actual designers at Hasbro, I think.
Right.
Oh, so not like Baki Ralboa.
Well,
Rocky was really in G.I. Joe.
I think Dusty is a real guy. They just switched his first and last initials.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, have you been canonized to your knowledge? You know a lot of people in the comic book field who have worked on Star Wars projects. Have you ever been?
Oh, yeah. I've drawn an backup story in an issue of Darth Vader.
But I mean, have you ever has there ever been a character that was oh, look, it's Nike Morton or
No, I have. There is a character in the Queen and Country novels by Greg Rucka who is named after me.
Oh,
but that's
nice.
about the closest I've come to I've appeared in several comic books. I've had other artist friends put me in comic books, but
you didn't draw yourself in.
I have not. No, okay. I've put other people, but
it doesn't seem on brand.
No, I can't. I'm having trouble looking at myself in the Zoom window right
now. So according to the Visual Dictionary, these all the children, I thought they were slaves, but apparently
that's what I thought.
They were children. They're owned by the Disney Corporation now. Yeah. The children were all abandoned by losing gamblers.
Oh, that's an even sadder story.
So they're like,
well, that to me makes it seem like it's kind of like, well, like it's either this or they live in the streets. So it's kind of bad that they're working in the stalls, right?
They're getting mistreated either way.
I guess so. You could kind of live on your own. You know, you make your own rules in the streets, just like Han Solo. They could be Han Solo, or they could be yelled at by a disgusting Muppet man here.
Well, you mean like Watto? Look how well that worked out.
Oh,
yeah. Wait, so
it's a long history of indentured servitude with children.
But of course, I think that's an intentional tie-in because, of course, Rey was an abandoned child who, at this point, as far as we know, were filthy junk traders who traded her for drink. So these are like degenerate gamblers. I mean, not to be cynical, but I would think if I was a gambler, I would make more by selling my kid than abandoning them. But you know,
well, that's what I mean. I think they were perhaps collateral.
Yeah, that's probably he put up his kid for lost, and now that kid's cleaning a stable somewhere.
Okay, I see. So they literally bet their kids on. Okay, yeah, that is pretty sad.
The pink slip.
It's real sad.
Yeah.
Especially that they're not doing anything to get them back either.
Or maybe they are. Maybe that's the whole.
Maybe they are.
Well, they're still in there. They're still in there. They're on a hot. They're due. They're totally due. I'm going to get my kids back.
It's got a whole.
Oh, that's the sad story. Is that they were like that was one of the tables in Canto Bight just now was Mr. and Mrs. Blag, and they were like just about to hit it big. Like the dice were just about to land on 7 for them, and then freaking father ears came running through.
Well, even if they were like, you know what? Let's we have all our chips. Let's go count them up, and then suddenly those Fantheers ran through.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And everything gets scattered, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, now we got to start all over again."
Finn messes up everything.
Yep. If they had won a lot of money, would they have got extra kids, like to prove how well they had done?
I don't think you win kids.
Well, they like, we get not only we get our kids back, but we got 2 other kids.
Like in Vegas, where they have like a Lamborghini on top of a slot machine. It's just a kid with a broom.
Yeah.
That would have been a much better way to show the evils of the Canto Bight people than some vague speech about war profiteers.
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That is all I have for minute 143.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had, too.
Yeah.
All right, then. We plugged Instagram and Twitter yesterday, so this time we are going to plug StarWarsMinute.com/merch. That's where you can go to get a cool t-shirt or mug or pillow or tapestry or all sorts of cool Star Wars memorabilia. Get them now before they get taken down by the man. StarWarsMinute.com/merch. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for another potentially new episode of Star Wars Minute.